Talk 8. The kingdom of heaven is within. My peace and my love I bring to you. My peace and my love remain with you. The kingdom of heaven is within you. Heaven is the kingdom of the innermost or spiritual, otherwise called Christ consciousness, the tabernacle of the Most High. Earth is the symbol of the outer or opposite or material, both eternally subsisting in the one in perfect unity. The kingdom of heaven is within you. This statement has been proclaimed all over the world, but few have understood the deeper meaning of it. When you realize the deeper meaning of this saying of mine, then you realize also the power that goes with it. For in the inner realms there dwells the Most High. God the Almighty in your midst is strong. He falters not. He is greater than the greatest. He is beyond the comprehension of even the archangels. Yet he dwells in you, and his dwelling place is called the kingdom of heaven within you. When this is misunderstood or not recognized, mankind creates his own hell. When you realize and recognize this wonderful truth, you are no longer separated or alone. There is a feeling of oneness that remains permanent and everlasting to the individual who recognizes it. This recognition comes through understanding, sometimes through meditation, but never through separation or division. It can never be yours completely if you are separated from one another in any way whatsoever. Because when you seek deep in yourselves, there you shall find me knocking at the door of your hearts, waiting to enter in. And in every soul this is taking place. Those who have admitted me into their hearts must admit everyone, no matter how difficult that person may be, no matter how evil that person may seem. They are all admitted within the one heart of Christ, and no one is ever cast out who comes unto me. Freedom comes when the kingdom of heaven is recognized as the true state of man's consciousness, the true expression of the Father. I and the Father are one. If you then can comprehend the deeper meaning of this saying, I and the Father are one, and you actually know it to be true, as you repeat it to yourself, the outer self will change. Because whatever the inner knows and understands, so shall the outer manifest. It is this mighty power that I understand and feel. This is my recognition and realization of the truth. It is the Father who ever remaineth within me, and he is working in me. It is he who is performing his own deeds. The Spirit of the Eternal, the Christ of God, precedeth all creation. I am before Abraham. Recognizing that I am is the life not only in Abraham, but in every living soul. It was this clear statement that I made to bring home the truth to the world, to show definitely that the Christ of God was in the beginning. I am before Abraham. The world recognized its prophets who were already dead. At the same time, they disregarded the truth of the everlasting life. But when the Christ was raised from the cross, then the task was fulfilled. Heaven and earth is the operation of the one eternal Spirit expressing itself in form, yet there is no separation. The body is but the focal point through which the invisible man functions. The Christ of God, to manifest, is involved in the form created, existing in the one and the one existing in all. Life alone lives. And this is the all-important truth. Truth has no beginning. Therefore, there is nothing new. All that is to be is already known to God. The fact that you are here is by no mere chance. The fact that you are here was already known to God. Even a sparrow does not fall to the ground lest the Father knoweth. Even the hairs of your head are numbered. In this recognition, there is an intelligence that is active everywhere, and this intelligence expresses itself through the consciousness that becomes aware of it. The greater the awareness, the greater the manifestation of the intelligence. This intelligence is active and never passive. It is continually outpicturing the desire of the Spirit. For within you the Christ dwells and is the only creative power in you. The root of all your misery lies in the conception of being separate from truth or life. This is why I said, I am the life. The Father and I are one. You cannot see truth, yet truth unfolds in you from the kingdom of heaven within. This is your safeguard against false teachers. Let the Spirit be your guide. This is the reason I have come to reveal the kingdom of heaven that is within you. When you begin to understand that the Christ of God dwells within you, you will not look outside for him. You will be guided and directed to understand by those who have already found him. And by following in the footsteps I have laid for you, then you shall find the Christ, the same Christ that spoke through Jesus. When there is perfect unity between all of you, you can do great things for the world and for all who live in it, for there I am in the midst. There must be silence in the outer when the Christ of God speaks from the inner. The mortal sense reacts to things external to the self. The roaring noise coming from the external must not affect the consciousness of the Christ within. Your consciousness becomes troubled through misunderstanding the truth. But immediately you begin to know the truth that Christ is all supreme. Then there is a calmness within, and the outer becomes calm also. My peace I bring unto you. You can feel my peace in your soul. Then let the Christ speak in all his power and glory with the understanding that it is the Father who ever remaineth with me and you. It is he who is speaking to you through me. The great works of healing can be done only when the mortal senses have ceased to be, and the consciousness turned towards the kingdom of heaven within you. This is the water I give to you, that you may never thirst again, for it will become a well of living water springing up to life everlasting. I speak of that which I have seen with my Father, and as God is my Father and your Father also, so must you love one another as I love you. When you turn your thoughts and your hearts inwardly, your soul begins to feel the warmth of the Christ of God, the only begotten Son of God, who is and was with God from the beginning. Nothing came into being except by him, and through him all that is made is made. When you see the beauty of the love of the Father expressing itself through the Son, then you will know that the Son is the love of God. The Son knows and understands that this love is pouring continuously through him, and as the Son receives it, so he expresses it naturally. That is why you must love one another as I love you. No greater thing can you do but to love one another and keep to my sayings. For I speak the truth the Father gives me, and this truth shall set you free. Sin is the great falseness connected with your outer self of the senses. It belongs to separation and chaos. I have told you not to gaze too long upon the sin of the world, which too many are preaching about. How can you see the Christ if you are forever gazing at sin? When you look to the Christ in yourself, this separateness, this chaos, this sin that exists in your mind and heart shall dissolve away. Heed not then those who are trying to drag you through hell, but listen to those who lift you into the glory of the Christ that dwells within you. The kingdom of heaven is his dwelling place, and his kingdom is within you now. Many who have passed beyond the flesh know well that flesh and blood does not enter into the higher realms. Yet they now know that they are the same who lived in the flesh. Christ dwells in you, and as you unfold into your higher understanding, so shall this Christ manifest in his glory according to your understanding. When you consciously know yourselves as you are known, you will say in your hearts, "It is finished." Yet separateness and chaos have dared to set up their kingdom of darkness in your midst. I am the light of the world. This all-prevailing inner light becomes visible as your inner vision of the kingdom of heaven is developed. The inner becomes the outer, and the outer becomes the inner. And as you feel in your heart, so shall it be expressed outwardly. It is the word that lives in your heart that manifests. Then seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and all things shall be added unto you. Seek first this mighty power of the consciousness of God, so that it becomes your consciousness. God being infinite, there can only be one consciousness, the consciousness of God manifesting as the Christ in you. Learn to become conscious of the Father who ever remains in you, and to know that there is nothing impossible with the Father, and whatever you shall say, so shall it be done. This is the light that existed in the beginning before the world was. For I was with God when he said, "Let there be light," and there was light. And this is the light that lighteth every soul that comes into the world. Everything that exists must be an expression from the inner, for everything that is made exists only because of the Christ that existed from the beginning. In God, the only one subsisting being, all things must take place, for there is nothing outside of him, he being infinite in nature. If you then know that life is God and God is life, and you become aware of this living life as yourself, then you know the Christ of God. Almighty wonderful Father, it is a pleasure and a joy to exist in Thee, and to know it is Thee who alone exists in us all. How wonderful is the joy in my heart knowing that Thou hast given me all those who belong to Thee. And when Thou know me, I shall give them back to Thee, and I shall still be in their midst. For Thou who speakest through me shall also speak through them, for no one exists beside Thee. Thus the creation of the inner and the outer, the active and the passive principles spoken of as heaven and earth, are within Him, the only one. Therefore the only creative power you have must come from the kingdom of heaven, the inner, the active living presence expressing itself in the outer. When you enter into the kingdom of your own consciousness, you will realize where the Christ dwells, and you will know the creative power of the Christ. By knowing that God is love, His Son must be love also. Therefore you reveal the perfection of the Father through the realization of His divine love, which remains always a protection for yourself and others. If then you know me and heed my words, you shall create in the outer that which is perfect within you. Be ye perfect as your Father in heaven is perfect. How consciously real is this inner realm to me? You will not fully understand until you come into the inner. You have seen me overshadowing the brothers. Some of you have seen the power radiating from the heart. Some of you have seen many other wonderful things. But even these things are but nothing compared to the divine presence that lives within yourselves. How consciously real is this inner realm to me? So it shall be to you also, for where I am, there also shall you be. This inward self, the Christ, is greater than you can ever realize, for all things are under His control. The Christ life in you is ever recreating within, making things anew, bringing the soul into unity with the whole. As you begin to feel this unity, you begin to feel the love and the power of God. There is an expansiveness that manifests in all, no matter who they may be. In this lies the power of Christ. The Father can only express Himself in His wholeness, in His completeness, then the Christ in you is the expression of the Father. Everything you read in the New Testament has also a symbolic meaning. When I made a whip of cord and drove out the temple of money changers, I also upset the trays of money, the symbol of the outer. I charged them not to make the Father's house a house of robbers and thieves. This is symbolic of driving out of the temple of the living God the thieves and robbers of mortal sense. For I must possess the living temple of God completely. This is the right of my possession. It is the thieves and robbers of mortal sense that deprive you of the power that exists within you. A belief in the outer, a belief in the power of something that has no power in itself, is the cause of your weakness. You did not create the Christ, but Christ creates in you. You only create in the outer by the power within you. I say unto you, when you have seen me, you have seen the Father, and I am within you. I possess the right to occupy the temple of the living God wholly and solely. There can be no compromise. He that wholly turneth unto me, out of his innermost being shall flow torrents of living water. When you turn completely unto me and give yourselves completely over to me, then from your innermost being will flow my life, my power, my wisdom, my love. You will be amazed at the things you can do, and nothing will be impossible unto you, if you will but believe and understand me. How much do you believe? Even now you are wondering if what I told you is really true. Unless you believe completely and wholly in me as the Christ, the only living Son, the only begotten Son of God, the only power existing in the world, you shall have no real power. To him that hath shall be given, but he that hath not, even that which he hath shall be taken away. Heed my words, they are as a double-edged sword. Therefore it is not for you to imitate the ways of the outer world, but to be transformed by the Christ within, that you may discern what is good and acceptable unto the Father, and reject that which is false. Anything that separates you from one another is a falsehood. Separation denies the Christ in you. The Christ is the only creative power in each and every one. It is the will of the Father, and his will be done on earth as it is in heaven. All members of the body have not the same function, yet they are of the one body. So it is with you. You are many, and you work differently. Yet you are all of one body. The body of the Christ holds all, and his Spirit is in all. Please think deeply with me. You have all different gifts according to the grace that is given unto you. Some of you may have clear sight, others may have more faith, some may have the gift of teaching, and some of healing, some the gift of consoling. Yet it is the one Christ that is manifesting in you all, and you live in the one body of Christ. Whatever you do, do it with sincerity. Be kind and affectionate to one another, and show your mercy with cheerfulness, for mercy is the reward of greatness. It shows the conscience of Christ within. It shows that the outer is being influenced by the living Christ that dwells in the kingdom of heaven within. For no matter who they are, whoever comes unto me, I will in no wise cast him out. Listen then to what I have to say unto you. What I do, you must do likewise. Otherwise, you are no disciple of mine. In business, do not be slothful or deceitful, but serving with honor. Thus you serve me, and you will not then be wise in your own conceit. And live in peace with all whom you serve, and with them who serve you. For it is written in the kingdom of heaven, he that is greatest is the servant of all. And who is the greatest? It is the Father who ever remaineth within you. It is he who is the servant of all, and whatsoever you ask in my name, so the Father shall give unto you. Therefore, if your enemy hunger, feed him. If he thirst, give him drink. For whatsoever you do unto anyone, so you do unto me. Overcome all evil with good. For whatsoever thou doest in thy own heart, so shall that be done unto you. Do you praise while you despise? Are you kind to some and unkind to others? Whatever you do unto anyone, you do unto me. Therefore follow in my footsteps, and all power shall be given unto you in heaven and on earth. Whatever the Father seeth me do, so does he bless 100-fold. I am truly rich, because my Father is rich. All belong to the Father, all are his children. He loves everyone, all people, no matter how disobedient they may be. I reign supreme. All that shall tend to destroy the temple of our Father shall be under my feet. And when all things be subdued by me, so shall I also be subject unto the Father who sent me. For he putteth all things in their right place, so that we may be all one in the Father. The Christ is the seed in the natural body, and is raised in a spiritual body. The body is but the focal point through which the Christ works. There is a natural body and a spiritual body, but the Christ is the ruler of both. Adam was made a living soul by the quickening of the Spirit. The outer man is the earth. The inner is the Lord of heaven. And the Lord of heaven has control over all things, for all power has been given unto him. He is the Lord and the law. The law is not above the Lord, but the Lord is above the law. I am the law, saith the Lord. When you recognize this, then you will see with your own eyes the living expression of the Almighty. For he alone through the Christ was created in you, in his own image and likeness. And within each and every soul dwells the Christ, the one and only Son. Therefore you live in the body of the Christ, and the Christ Spirit lives in each and every one of you. As you are born the image of your Father in heaven, so is that image reflected in the outer through the Christ in you. The outer is the flesh and blood. Yet the flesh and blood does not enter the kingdom of heaven. For this is the realm of spirit and water, in which the flesh has no say. Water means that invisible substance, the mind of God in which everything is existing. With this finer substance everything is created, even flesh and bone. The form may disappear, but the spirit remaineth forever. But as a soul is raised by the power of the Spirit, and is raised beyond the vibration of the flesh, so it departs into the inner realms, there to abide with me, for I am in the outer, while in the inner. Yet I am not affected by flesh and blood. I have overcome the world by the power of the Spirit, and the flesh has no say in the matter. The outer is the flesh and blood, yet the flesh and blood does not enter the kingdom of heaven. Flesh and blood is the means through which the Christ manifests on earth. That which is untrue in the outer shall pass away, because from the heart of love comes the healing of forgiveness. This mighty love blots out all sin and separateness, for within you dwells he who has overcome sin and death through the consciousness of the Christ of God. Because you are the sons and daughters of God, he has sent forth the Spirit of Christ into your hearts, crying, Abba, Avon. O Father, our Father. So you are servants no longer, but sons and daughters, all heirs to all that which is God's through the Christ, the only begotten Son of God that dwells within you. Yes, how many thousands of you are listening to me at this moment, living in a state where time and space do not enter in? But here in the outer, where I am speaking to those who are your brothers and sisters, yet remaining in the flesh, they know time and space. Time and space is a difficulty they have to overcome upon the earth. The difficulty all must overcome is the sense of time and space. You still observe distances, days, months, time, and years. This is the illusion of time and space. See yourselves in the kingdom of heaven. The same Spirit within you is the same that created the world. When you understand this, you will see beyond the world of time and space. I said that I am not of the outer, but born of the Spirit of the Father. Call no man your father on earth, for one is your Father who is in heaven. I knew of this greater and inner state of being, and that the outer was but a shadow. Therefore I overcame the temptation of the senses, through which time and space made for separation. If you overcome this sense of time and space, you shall also enter into this understanding, where all is now, where there is no separation, no distance, no time. The originating Spirit of the Father, existing in the simple unity with all power, created the active and passive principles spoken of as heaven and earth. So the work done in the inner, or heaven, is reproduced in the outer, or earth. Seek ye first the kingdom of God, and ye shall create in the outer that which is acceptable to him who created you within himself. His Spirit, the ruling power in heaven and on earth. The ways of God the Father are perfect, and the soul that is conscious of the living Christ is lifted into the simple unity of the Father who is eternal and ever present. The simple unity, how gloriously lovely and perfect! How simple is the truth, how difficult it is for those who dwell in time and space to understand. When the Christ was raised from the cross, the work of redemption was fulfilled. The whole race was lifted up into unity with the Father. The Christ is the Son of God. This Christ is the Spirit that animates the whole of humanity, and is the Spirit animating you, the highest creation of God on earth, made in God's likeness. The Spirit took upon itself the body of flesh. The Spirit took upon itself the Satan of the senses while dwelling complete in that everlasting state of eternal power. To enter into the body of flesh is to feel the sense of separation, yet the Christ Spirit knew the senses of the mortal flesh for what they were and said, "Get ye behind me, Satan." The Satan of the senses blind you from the Christ power that you have here and now. Know that when the Christ was raised from the cross, so was the whole of mankind raised. The acceptance of this truth and the understanding of it will set you free now. It is of this I have come to show you, to tell you that you are free now, if you will but believe in me and him who sent me. Love is pressing through the surrounding atmosphere about you. This love is calling for your obedience to treat one another with the same spirit as you see me do. Love dwells in every living soul. Love much, and I shall do my work through you. How I long to express this feeling of love in you, the love of God made manifest. The feeling of love that goes out from the very center of your soul is but a grain of sand on the seashore of love. But to understand the love of God, you must begin to love more. And as you love more, so I shall work in you and through you, because I am love, the Son of the Father of love. I love all in the world. I am with you in the world, working to bring the kingdom of heaven to earth. For this I was sent forth to do. Follow me, for indeed you are the light of the world. Then let your light shine so that all may see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven. The kingdom of heaven is within you. Now let us enter into the sanctuary of the silent healing power. My peace, my love, our Father's love, I leave with you. So be it.